What's going on, YouTube? Bluff City here with another news story. And this is out of Chicago. Just immediately after I just reported about that lady who got beat on by those kids while she was walking her two kids home from school. First, that now you have this shooting that happened immediately after a Christmas tree lighting that they have in the city, around this time of year. It is absolutely nuts. That man, Brandon Johnson, has absolutely lost all control of that city. And he can't sit up here and say, well, we can't, it's not my fault. We got to do. Like, man, Chicago was already bad when he first got in, and it's gotten worse since people are pretty much saying he's worse than Lori Lightfoot, which I would agree wholeheartedly. But with that being said, let me get into this news clip here about the whole situation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it so you don't miss any new videos.
News from CBS News Chicago.
Good evening. I'm Joe Donlin, live in the CBS News Chicago Broadcast Center. I want to update you on what has been a chaotic evening in the Loop. Two shootings, one at the signature location of downtown, that is State and Randolph, right at the Chicago Theater. At least 6 people have been shot. One of them was a mass shooting. Shortly after that shooting, there was another shooting nearby at Adams and Dearborn. Let's get right to our Charlie DeMar. He is live at the scene of that first shooting, State and Randolph. Charlie, what is the latest?
Yeah, Joe, you mentioned it. We are in the backdrop of the Chicago Theater right behind me. The scene has quieted down since we last checked in throughout the 10 o'clock hour, but this was the first shooting here. A CPD spokesperson tells me at least 6 people were shot between at least 2 different shooting scenes. We saw at least 4 people being treated by first responders here at Randolph and State, loaded into ambulances and taken away from here. While we were out here, there was another shooting scene that happened just blocks from where we are now. Alderman Brian Hopkins tweeted out just a few moments ago. He says that one of these victims, that there's at least one person with critical injuries with life-threatening gunshot wound to the torso. Multiple police officers attacked tonight and injured, maced, attacked with stun guns, and at least one police officer has been hospitalized tonight. Again, we saw just victim after victim here. We saw at least 4 from this scene. A Chicago police spokesperson confirming to us at least 6 people. He said to me, 6 people and counting, as this is still a very chaotic scene right in the Loop. There were thousands of people here tonight between the tree lighting, the Chris Kindle Market. This was the start of the holiday season. We are on State Street. You can see the trumpets on Macy's, out the windows here. This is iconic Chicago in the holidays, marred, overshadowed, unfortunately, by this mass shooting in the Loop tonight. Chicago police, they are obviously still out here, still trying to gather details from looking at the victims who were loaded into these ambulances. These are young people. These were teenagers. We have seen Chicago police officers.
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all. It was pretty much teenagers doing this because that has always been a problem out there in Chicago with the teen takeovers in downtown Chicago and then little to nothing being done about it. I'm not shocked by that.
After the shooting, telling some of these young kids who are still down here to go home. The night is over. There is no reason for them to be here unaccompanied. Joe, that's what we've gathered so far, and of course, still a lot more to come tonight.
Charlie, a couple of points here for our viewers who are watching this. This afternoon, you and I had talked about the possibility of a lot of chatter online that there might be some of these sort of teen takeovers, if you will, tonight. When we hear these, and there's this much chatter about it, typically they don't happen. But tonight, there was concern, at least even at the tree lighting earlier tonight. City officials were aware of this online chatter. Is there any indication that what's happened tonight led from what we all thought might be a possibility tonight?
Yeah, over the years, these teen takeovers have been an issue, have been a focal point for Chicago police. Social media was filled with young teenagers saying they were planning on coming down to Millennium Park. So if I know it, if we know it, if the media knows it, that kids are planning on it, certainly Chicago police investigators who spend a lot of time on social media.
I guess no one told these kids that the feds and your local police are also on the internet. They're also on social media. So whatever y'all plan, whatever hijinks they plan on doing, they're gonna see it, and then they get so surprised when they pull up and be like, "Okay, y'all got to get the fuck out of here now." They'll be like, "How?" Because everybody's on the internet.
They were aware of it and presumably prepared for a large influx of young people. But just walking downtown, you could tell, there were a lot of people here, a lot of young people here, unaccompanied. Teens, people who looked under the age of 18, without adults, without supervision. And yes, usually when they are telegraphed, when there is a lot of chatter, then police will ramp up their patrols. They'll be vocal about it before it happens. And a lot of times that does deter something from happening. Those teen takeovers won't happen. A lot of times these events happen out of the blue, that no one is prepared. We've seen usually when it goes from winter to the warmer months that Chicago police, for a lack of a better word, they've been questioned or criticized for being caught flat-footed when there are a large influx. But that wasn't tonight. There was a huge show of force here downtown tonight. Chicago police were prepared for people, for families, and for the possibility of young people downtown. This is not something new. This is not something novel just this year for the tree lighting. We have asked the mayor this before. We've asked Superintendent Snelling and other superintendents of the Chicago Police Department what plans are ahead of large gatherings like this when there has been.
I guarantee you there's no real plans. For this to continue in Chicago, it just seems like there's nothing being done. And I thought, see, this is why there was such a push for the National Guard to be in Chicago because of shit like this. Because had the National Guard been down there, I guarantee you this would have never went down.
Instances of, unfortunately, violence or large groups of young people who make it, unfortunately, unsafe for the majority of the people who came here to have a good night with their families, to see the Tree Millennium Park, to go get some mulled wine, some candied nuts at Chris Kindle Market, look at the windows, enjoy Christmas. Unfortunately, the loop is covered in crime scene tape. It really is hard to see, hard to fathom that just the juxtaposition of the joy of the holiday with flashing police lights, crime scene tape right here in the loop.
Yeah, it really has been a festive and enjoyable evening up until this point. But Charlie, I have to say that it was bubbling up even earlier. When I left the tree lighting ceremony at about 8 o'clock tonight, there were undercover security who said to me, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Back to the studio." And they said, "Not now. No. This is we'll give you an escort." So at that point, it was bubbling up, and I saw a lot of the teens you're talking about who were by themselves. But I do bring that up because you saw a lot of the folks who have been injured, and you thought, at least from your eye, they were young. Some of these victims were young. Let's set up and go back because this started right before 10 o'clock, right as our newscast went on the air. When you got there, you saw 2 victims on the street, but that was just the beginning, right? Because there were at least 2 more ambulances and maybe even 3 that came over the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was noticeable right here in front of the Walgreens, right at the corner. That's where they were working on one victim right when we got here. And then a little further down, that's where a second victim was. There's an entrance to the State Street Red Line that goes down right there. That's where we saw 2 just from where we are, where we were rather. It was chaotic first few moments of the scene, but we kept seeing paramedics bringing out victims in wheelchairs, then transferred to stretchers, and then worked on in those ambulances. And at least 4 people here, again, that spokesperson with the Chicago Police Department says a minimum of 6, and that number could rise. That is just what they have at this moment. Along with these people, the victims rather, a Chicago police officer, at least one Chicago police officer, according to Alderman Brian Hopkins, is being treated for injuries tonight. So this was chaotic. We have seen fights. To your point, our crew did see a number of fights throughout the loop before the shooting happened. So there was a lot of people, obviously, Chicago Police Department doing their best to keep things under control. But there was a lot of people here. There was a lot of elements, a lot of the potential was there for something to happen.
Charlie,
Joe.
one more quick question before I let you go. Any idea if police are planning a news conference tonight?
Unclear. I spoke with a spokesperson for.
Bottom line is this. That city needs the National Guard and the Safety Task Force, just like in Memphis and in other cities where they have deployed, and crime has gone significantly down. That's the bottom line. Because when they deployed that, just like when they deployed here in Memphis, a lot of the criminals, a lot of the knuckleheads, a lot of the total fucking idiots that have been running amok around Memphis, guess what? They decided to stay their asses at home. And things in the streets have been significantly quieter. Almost everyone can notice you see more people out and about walking around. One black gentleman I remember, I think it was on TikTok when I saw this. He said he was shocked to see a couple of white ladies running up and down South Parkway. South Parkway. That's something that you don't see. It's gotten that much safer. That does not mean crime will stop, but it'll definitely keep these knuckleheads from coming outside and just running amok and doing whatever the hell they feel like doing. But Chicago's mayor, Brandon Johnson, he does not want how bad of a job he is in being in charge of Chicago to be fully exposed. Because that's what's going to happen if they've managed to get the National Guard there at one point or another. I'm just keeping it a beam with you guys because Chicago's always been the talk of how bad the crime is, just like Memphis. And then at one point, Memphis was one of the most frequently showed cities on the first 48 that was on A&E, and we had to get that off. We had to get off A&E because it was bad for tourism here because there's always a homicide. But it didn't stop crime, and people still did travel here for the most part. But this is what's really, you just need a heavier police force and to be tough on crime. That's what it is. Chicago's got to get tough on crime. Start holding these parents accountable. Like I said in my last video about the mother who got beat up by those kids. You need to hold these parents accountable who just let their kids come out here and run wild. Like, seriously, that's what it boils down to. But until that happens, things like this is just going to continue. It's just going to continue. Chicago's going to continue to get the negative press that it deserves. And Brandon Johnson, he's going to tell everybody, like content creators like myself and others who talk about these types of things, he's going to be like, well, y'all need to stop talking about Chicago, man. It's not all that bad. Crime is down. Please. Back-to-back tragedies. That mother who got beat up, now this during a Christmas tree lighting. What are they going to do? As far as I'm concerned, nothing. Because to them, and by them I mean the people that are running the city of Chicago, this is the best. That's the best option. It's the best option. Man. My condolences go out to the families of those who, have been shot and hurt very badly due to all this. All I can say is for those of you that watch me out in Chicago, y'all can let me know down in the comments if you were there during the Christmas tree lighting, how it all went down, how accurate is this news report about this. Please inform me. For those of you who live in Chicago and watch me, please inform me in the comment section. I encourage it. And I'm going to end the video right here. Thank you so much for watching. Matter of fact, not quite yet. I got one more thing I want to show y'all.
So, I just got off the metro. And like I said, thousands of kids downtown shooting on State Street. I just don't understand. That's it's insane. So allegedly, it's 7 people that were shot. Ambulances going to a bunch of different hospitals. And tomorrow we're gonna hear people crying about they baby this and they baby that. And I get it. But at some point, when do the parents take responsibility? Y'all on social media just like these kids are. Y'all see what's taking place. It just doesn't make sense. I'm also frustrated, and it's just, I knew it was gonna happen.
So, according to her, Chicago PD could have prepared for this well in advance, and they chose not to. Let's look at some of these comments some people left. This lady said, sad. This person says, I think it's time to stop the annual tree lighting. Christmas shouldn't be about children dying. The city cannot protect the citizens. It needs to be canceled. I don't know if they're going to do that, but it wouldn't shock me whatsoever. I think he meant to say it happened 3 hours after it had already ended peacefully. And she replies, yes, it was afterwards. They also attended and promoted the ceremony. Prior, there was fighting. Either way, innocent people were hurt after the tree lighting ceremony. That didn't. What she's basically saying, none of it had to happen, and the fact that it did. Wow, man, Chicago, man. Y'all got to get it together, man. Y'all seriously got to get it together. And I'm gonna end the video right there. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Also, don't forget to hit the link in my description down below so you can follow me on other social media platforms as well as support this channel directly via Cash App, PayPal, and if you go down below, right above the comments, or excuse me, right above the description, you should see the super thanks button. You can contribute that way as well. I really do appreciate it. And if you choose to do so, I will shout you out in my next video as my way of saying thank you. And with that being said, please be safe out here. Please don't be a knucklehead. Have a good one. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Peace.